Hello, all, and welcome to The Conservative Poet with me, Amania. In today's conversation, it's a little bit disturbing, if I may say so myself. It's a little bit disturbing because we have Joy Reid, who is having not even an interview, not even a conversation, but more of a bulldozer with one of the co-founders of Moms for Liberty. This conversation is about the books that's in school libraries and so on that really talks to children about sex, may it be any kind of sex, but this is in particular the abnormal sex of same genitals, same holes, same parts. Y'all get the gist. LGBTQ, X, Y, and Z sex. And so, again, it doesn't matter which kind of activity it is. If it's normal sex, man and woman, it's still inappropriate for children. We used to be in a society who said, yeah, kids, these things is off limits for children. Children do not need to be learning these things. And these were not books that were in school libraries or anywhere where children could get their hands on it. Now these books are in the school libraries. I used to be an avid reader as a kid. I would devour books, and never did I actually have an encounter with explicit books in my area. Never. I read books, like I lived in books. And it is such a shame now that this is what children are exposed to. They are exposed to constantly over sexualizing, always in their face again, and they push the abnormal LGBTQ sex agenda on our young children. And so in this video, you're going to see Joy Reid on her show with this woman, Moms for Liberty, where she is bulldozing this woman, will not let her have her say. And you know how they do. She's like the Roland Martins. She's like all of them. When they have that agenda and you go on their program, they never let you make your point. Because if you make your point, then the American people is going to see, okay, yeah, this is not good. So they just constantly interrupt. They never, ever let you have your say. And this Moms for Liberty, I don't know what her name is, but she did a graceful job of overcoming the obstacles that host Joy Reid presented to her in this interview. She was able to get a couple of bits and pieces across to the American public, with Joy the oligarch constantly interrupting. And I throw Roland Martin in here because it's like they go to school for this. They must have Democrat school or propaganda school or oligarch school that teaches them how to put up the brakes when you're in interviews with the opposite or with the other side. This is how you handle them. And you constantly repeat whatever it is that you want to put in there. For example, that's not what we're talking about. 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 That's not what we're talking. And they constantly and higher and higher and higher. And the person on the other side just cannot make their point heard. Drop me a comment in the section, drop me a line in the comment section if you all notice that as well, and if you do know, do they go to training just for these things to be able to put the brakes on other people when these people are on their program? Because again, a lot of them doing, and it's frustrating to watch. But in any event, we're going to get into this Moms for Liberty interview with Joy Reid. Again, this is about pornography in the schools, pornography books that they are trying to push on children so that they can make this whole LGBT X, Y, and Z setup normal. And I'm going to react to that. So let's do it.
LGBTQ parents and parents of LGBTQ kids, do they have parental rights?
Every parent, Joy. Every parent means every parent has the fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children.
And liberal parents? Do liberal parents have those rights as well?
All parents. Sure.
So let me point you to some statistics, because the question becomes then who gets to decide what all kids get to read? The Washington Post took a look at about 1,000 plus book challenges that were filed, and they found that they were filed nationwide by just 11 people. Each of these people brought 10 or more challenges against books in their school district. Together, these serial filers constituted 6% of all book challengers, but they were responsible for 60% of filings. In Florida, Tampa Bay Times, they found that of roughly 1,100 complaints recorded in Florida since July 2022, we're talking about more than 700 just from two counties, Escambia in the Western Panhandle and Clay County. Together, those are less than 3% of the public school enrollment, 600 of those complaints, 2 people. Why should 13 people get to decide what books tens of thousands of children get to read?
Well, I'm thinking it's probably because those 13 people saw what some of the content was in the books. I mean, explicit, graphic, sexual content. And I'm happy to talk about some of that content if you'd like to.
Well, this is the question again. The books that are being banned, I want to give you just
no books are being banned.
No, hold on a second.
Well, no, Joy, but I want to be clear. No one's banning books. Write the book, print the book, publish the book, put the book in the public library, sell the book, right? We're talking about a public school library. Children don't have unfettered access to the internet at school. I did a FOIA records request, and I wanted to see what kinds of internet sites are banned in schools, if we're going to talk about banning, right? And the subject matter in the books that moms are concerned about are the same things that kids don't have access to on the internet. So it just feels very hypocritical, right? No, why is no one out there protesting for, free the internet in schools?
Let me give you an example of some of the books that have.
So what a great point that the Moms for Liberty mom just made. So when we look at this thing, the internet, I mean, you can find whatever you want on the internet, right? Graphics. Books, same thing. But because they understand the internet is a place where all kinds of nasties live. And so there are sites that you cannot get to from a public school library and so on. You cannot access these sites because these sites are not good for children. So the same thing would be in the print version, right? In books, in magazines, and so on. Because, again, same graphics you can pull from visuals on the internet, those can be printed in the textbooks or in reading books or in magazines. So when you ban certain things on the internet and you leave it open in the print world, where these children could take these books and go somewhere, sit down and read them and go through them and ingest these things that on the internet is banned, but yet in the physical space it's not. And yet people are not in protest of what they can see on the internet because everybody agrees that okay, children should not have access to these things. But in the print world, people are up in arms for the same kind of material in books. And it's the same graphics, it's the same visuals, and then it goes even further because now it's in text. So now again they're reading this, ingesting it, and visualizing these things, and it's putting in another layer on their mentals. So I would argue that they are both equally damaging to children. But Joy Reid doesn't seem to see it that way, because they're all on board for sexualizing children.
Been removed from shelves as a result of the activities of organizations like Moms for Liberty.
We're not going to talk like Moms for Liberty. We're going to talk specifically Moms for Liberty.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy to have this conversation with you, Joy.
Absolutely.
But we're going to be specific about the actions of Moms for Liberty.
Oh, 100%.
Because I can't be possibly responsible for every single parent
but
in America,
your organization is the lead. You're the leading organization that's doing this. You have chapters all over the country, and other organizations are following your lead. And PEN America has listed, they have posted the list of books that have been removed from shelves as a result of these activities. So let me just read you a couple of them. Anne Frank's A Diary of a Young Girl. Mouse, which is a book about the Holocaust, a graphic novel. Genderqueer, a memoir. All Boys Aren't Blue. Beloved, Martin Luther King Jr. and the March on Washington. Ruby Bridges Goes to School. Slaughterhouse-Five, The Color Purple, Forever by Judy Blume. I could go on. These are books that are not only popular, in some cases are classics. Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. Let me give you an example.
Well, I'd like to answer your question.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just mentioned a list of books. And so Moms for Liberty doesn't have like a national book list. There was never a list of books that we put out and said, parents, be concerned about these books, right? We didn't do it because we want our parents to be effective advocates. So when moms are going into the libraries in the schools, when they're seeing what their children have access to, when they go to speak to the superintendent or the principal, they have accurate information, right? They're
where are they
getting
their information from?
You can just go online to a catalog in your children's library, and you can see what
without reading the books. What is one moment? What is booklooks.com?
I'm aware of a website called booklooks.com where parents can go and see some of the books that other parents are concerned about.
Booklooks.com has been used in Florida extensively in counties like, I used to live in Broward County. I lived there for 14 years.
Okay.
In counties like Broward, counties like Clay, counties like Escambia, Moms for Liberty activists are using booklooks.com. And it's essentially a cliff notes for books.
Yeah.
So you go through without even having to read the book. I'm going to just hold it up so our audience can see what it looks like. This is the one for All Boys Aren't Blue, which is one of the books Moms for Liberty has pushed
Everyone should.
So, All Boys Aren't Blue. So, this is where, I guess, this is a book about a homosexual boy who's, I guess, he's not blue. I don't even know what that means. I think we'll have to just go and look some of these books up just so we can see what they're all really all about. But the whole point of this is we are trying to protect children from all of this inappropriateness. I wish that Joy had the books, not just here, here's a printout of this, but the actual books where you can just open up and say to the audience, here's what's in it. Here's what we're talking about. You know? I don't know if you can even, I don't own any of these books, so I don't even know what they would look like on the inside. That would probably take us on a field trip, maybe, to Barnes and Nobles or one of the school libraries, if we're permitted, and just take along our camera and maybe do a little on-the-ground research. I don't know, maybe notes. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you think that's something I should do, because there's a library not too far away from here, and I can stop by and see what it is that they have, and if they have these books, then what does the picture look like? What does the graphics looks like? Because again, Joy Reid is advocating for pornography for children to be able to have access to books that that are literally full of pornography. Again, the LGBTQ X, Y, and Z pornography.
Go and see the content in this book. That's such a good idea.
And so what
Joy.
happens is you can do keyword searches and find certain keywords.
Like rape.
You can find sure.
Or anal rape or dildo.
You can find
those,
all sorts
those
of
types
keywords.
of words. But like,
wait, hold on, wait. Let me finish my question.
Okay,
Then
great,
you can answer.
sure.
I'm going to give you time to answer, but I got to ask you first.
No, yeah, I got
I can't stomach Joy Reid. I just can't stomach her. She's such a propagandist. But the Moms for Liberty had a good couple of points there. I don't know if y'all picked up what she just laid down. But one of the things in these books is that they want to make normalizing rape, abuse, when children are being molested and raped by, for example, boys. Maybe that's that boy's story right there. Maybe he was raped and molested by a man. And so it's not really about, the pleasuring, of this whole thing, but it's more of rape and incest and having to go through these kinds of experiences, but yet they're putting it all together as if, this is a good thing. But what we're seeing is that, no, it's not a good thing, because you're pretty much putting the LGBTQ X, Y, and Z and anal sex and rape and anal rape, or raping of children or raping of boys through men. You're making it, oh, it's all good. It's homosexuality, so it's okay. But it's hurting children, and now they are going through this, and now they think because of that hurt, because of that experience, this is who and what they are. And so, and you're seeing a lot of people in this here community living through this because they were abused and molested as a child by an uncle or their father or whoever, a cousin or whoever. And now, again, it all ties in, but they don't want you to put those things together. They don't want you to do that, because then we're associating rape, incest, and all of these things with the sex of LGBT, which is perfectly normal. And it's not.
And so what you find is the keywords that you find, the N-word, anything, words like you just used, then you'll get out of context passages from the book. And then based on that, Moms for Liberty members are going to places like Broward County School Board meetings, reading out of context passages from these books, and then demanding that the school board remove them.
So what's
that is the way, the question I'm asking.
I just want to throw this in real quick. It's so funny how these people at MSNBC, who are famous for just taking little clippets, right? Little clippets, and then turning it into something huge. For example, we're going to go off subject for 1 second just to make this point. For example, the word vermin, right? Where they clip just that word and out of President Trump's talk and said, oh, he's Hitler. He's quoting Hitler. He's quoting this. He's quoting that. He's all of this. They clipped one word and said, this is the whole thing. Again, same thing, Charlottesville. There are good people on both sides. Again, they just clipped 1, 2, 3 words, and then they pushed it out there. Oh, he's a racist. Oh, he's a white supremacist. And this and this and this and this, until the echo chamber was deafened. Right? They know all about that. Just had to throw that in.
Asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? Just that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No,
Wait,
we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
And I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Are Blue?
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on. Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
Joy.
You know, that Joy Reid is such a disgrace. Here this woman just presented to you, here's what's in the book. This child raped by men in his family. Raped! Right? Anal sex. Raping children. Pedophilia. Right? That's what this child experienced. And now he's this flaming homosexual because of those experiences. That's what's happened to him. But they don't want the public to know, put these two together. As in, this was a bad thing. A rape of a child doesn't matter who's raping the child. It's a bad thing. But when it comes to homosexuals doing it, oh, no. What you're saying is homophobic. What you're saying is against the LGBT. What you're saying is it's bad for the LGBT. But it's rape. It's pedophilia. And it's bad for everyone. Because again, it's bad for the child. Their mental, emotional. It's bad for the child all the way around. But if it's about the LGBTQ, it's all good.
George, I believe is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You just remembered very specific names.
Joy.
Here's my question.
We're talking about strap. You didn't answer my question.
No. I'm going to answer your
Great.
question.
I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm interviewing you. You're not interviewing me. So let's just make sure it's a conversation. Okay.
Great.
So
I wish you would. It's a conversation. No. Should I drop the B? No, bitch. It's not a conversation. It's you bulldozing over this woman who is a guest in your house. How is it that this reminds me again of the Breakfast Club? Again, same setup here. Blacks who have a platform, you bring people onto your platform, and then this is what you do. The Breakfast Club does it. Roland Martin does it. Joy Reid does it. I mean, they all do it. And it's disgusting. It's really, really disgusting. And I'm sure it gets done on the right too, I'm sure. But this is the conversation that we're having. And again, right now, because we're talking about children, children. Again, children being sexualized and molested and raped through LGBTQ, X, Y, and Z setups. Nobody wants to talk about that. They want to normalize it as if it's not rape, as if it's not abnormal. That Joy Reid really, really irks my nerves. It's just a frustrating conversation. But this mom's delivered. Look at her smile. She is really, she's a trooper in all of this, putting up with this nonsense. She should have, Joy, if you're not going to let us have a proper conversation, if you're not going to let me say my points, then perhaps I should be leaving, taking off this here microphone and walking off this setup, because all you're doing is, again, bulldozing and saying, yeah, this is my show. I'm doing the questions here. I'm doing the interview. And therefore, when I let you speak, that's when you can speak. No, that's not how this works.
What I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert in this book,
I don't have to be an expert to know that dildos aren't appropriate for public school. I mean, come on, let's get real.
This is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience. Why is it your right, or a Moms for Liberty activist's right, to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author, why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So again, we're talking about incest, rape, and pedophilia.
And each parent, each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. So I want you to answer. I'm going to ask it one more time. Right. What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story? Why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof of that is what?
You just said that if a child feels seen by this story. What I'm saying, Joy,
you're now making assumptions.
No, Joy, but if a child has been raped, we should do a lot.
Joy done stepped right in it. She didn't see that coming. She did not see that coming. That's right. She just made her point that you are approving. And what parent would want their child to have to read about such explicit pain happening to another child again? Oh, that Moms for Liberty woman. This is what it is. This is what they don't want to be talked about. This is what they don't want to be heard. And Moms for Liberty just really, really made that point. Because this is incest, this is rape, this is abuse of children through the LGBTQ X, Y, and Z setup.
Better than put a book on a library
You're literally
shelf.
creating a story behind a child that you don't know. Let me show you a form. This is a form that can be obtained in Broward County, Florida. Okay. I'm going to show it to the audience, and then I'm going to show.
You see how she never answered the woman's question? You, Joy, you. You see how she never answered the woman's question? She just kind of moved on. You know, bulldoze you and move on. You ask them questions, they never have any answers.
Show it to you. Okay. This is called the opt. Yeah, please. I'm going to hand it to you.
So much.
It's called the opt-out form.
Okay.
An opt-out form would allow any parent, because you said you are in favor of parental rights.
I am.
It would allow any parent to opt out of their child being able to take books out of the library without their parents' permission.
Okay.
So that Moms for Liberty, why not advocate that every school in America have an opt-out form so that a parent who doesn't want their child to access a book like All Boys Aren't Blue,
right,
that they can make that choice? Because then each parent, including a liberal parent, a black parent, a parent who wants their child to read a book about African-American history, then they want children to read books. Why not just opt out?
I hate the way they tie this in. Oh, this is the LGBT. It's all about African-American history or African-American story. That's not our story. Okay? That's not who we are. We're Christian people who believe in a God who says that these things is wrong. That's who we are. The majority of blacks are Christians who says no to this nonsense. And I'm so sick and tired of these black mouthpieces coming out here, especially the ones on The View, all of these black mouthpieces coming out here and sort of trying to tie in black people with this LGBTQ nonsense, putting us all in this bucket. No, we revolt against this bucket. We revolt against this nonsense. I'm sick of y'all trying to portray us as so, and we are not. We are against this. In the name of Jesus.
Out for yourself rather than tell other parents what they can and cannot.
First of all, I think what you're talking about here is a wonderful step in the right direction. We should be having conversations about this. This is about local control. Mm-hmm. A lot of these decisions are made at the local school board level. Mm-hmm. And that's where these decisions should be made. And there should be vibrant conversations about what's happening in our public schools and what kids have access to. Joy, however, maybe we could just put all the books with all the graphic sexual content, the dildos, the rape, the incest.
I'm sorry.
Let's do a back room. Let's put a curtain up in the library like they used to do.
One moment.
Remember when we were little and you would go to the video store?
The books that Moms for
and they
Liberty.
put those
the books that Moms for Liberty.
With pornography.
I know that I've seen.
We could just do that in the public library.
I have seen tapes of what Moms for Liberty does, and you all go into school board meetings and you read graphic stuff.
Disingenuous conversation.
No, it's not.
America used to understand that there's something called age-appropriate content.
Right, and here's my question again.
Again,
Ruby Bridges Goes to School is on the list of books that Moms for Liberty has attempted to have removed.
Absolutely not.
It absolutely is. Let me ask about the people who are making the decision for their parents, because you have not answered yet why a liberal parent or an African-American parent.
We have parents who are Democrats who are members of our organization.
But you're still trying to make decisions for all the kids. Here are some of the parents that are filing, or some of your advocates. Bridget Ziegler, the Moms for Liberty co-founder, the wife of the recently ousted Florida Republican Party chairman, Christian Ziegler, who allegedly was involved in threesomes, same-sex threesomes. Mrs. Ziegler was removed from the school board at which she was a leader. You've had
she wasn't
Lauren,
removed
one
from
moment.
the school board.
Okay, you have Lauren DePaula. She was making book ban requests in Alachua County, but then records show that she and her husband didn't live there. They'd sold their home in that county. Carrie Blair in Tennessee, who was arrested for property theft charges after allegedly stealing from Target, skip scanning in Target. Why should those three people get to make decisions about what other children should be able to read? Other parents' children should be able to read.
Do you know that I served as a school board member from 2016 to 2020?
Are you going to answer my question?
Yeah, I'm
because
going
we don't
to.
have an endless time.
Joy, I'm going to answer your question, but I need you to understand that when I was an elected representative, I would sit on that dais. And how dare I, sitting there as an elected representative, judge a parent when they would come to the podium to speak and advocate for their child? Because as we started this conversation, we'll end it. Every parent has a fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children. And I would not stand in judgment, Joy, about a parent's education level, their sexual orientation, their race, their religion. That is not what America is about.
I'm going to answer. I'm going to ask my question, Ms. Justice. Mrs. Justice. Thank
you.
If a parent believes that their child should be able to read Ruby Bridges,
we believe that that children should be able to read.
Then how can Moms for Liberty insist that the school board take that book away and then say that a parent who wants the child to be able to read it must purchase it? That's essentially putting a tax on parents who want their children to read the book. Your kids get to have books for free that you agree with, but children who want to read, or parents who want their children to read books you don't like, have to purchase it. That doesn't sound fair.
Did you know that in the city that we're sitting in, only a quarter of children are reading on grade level?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
And so while we're having this conversation about books in libraries, two things should be happening.
That's a great point.
We should be talking about literacy rates and the fact that America's kids are not learning how to read, and we should be having.
When I tell you that Joy Reid is a disgrace to the human race, she is a disgrace to the human race. She is a disgrace to the community of Blacks. And we know she's not a Christian or a person of God, so we can't say she's a disgrace to the Christian community. She's just a disgrace all around. How do you sit there and advocate for sexualized books, for sexualizing children? Stand there with a straight face and advocate for these things, and throw Black people in there as if, oh, all Black people agree with this nonsense. It's a disgrace. She is shameful, and I'm disgusted with her. I'm going to see if we could find some of these books, and kind of tie all of this in together. But I'm going to end this video now. I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in to watch this debate. I will link it here because I did stop it a good amount of times, but that way you can just listen and watch the whole thing without my interrupting. But I mean, this person is so disgraceful, and the Moms for Liberty mom, kudos for her for standing up and at least trying to push her conversation through, even though she was being stopped at every turn, at every angle of this. So good for her. And, Joy Reid, you should really be ashamed of yourself. Oh, God, I'm so sick of these people. I'll see y'all in another video. Disgraceful. How do you stop this thing? Hello, fellow patriots. Thank you so much for your support. And again, you can do so by purchasing products from the Orlando Patriots, mugs, t-shirts, all of your patriotic gear. We are in an election year, so we need to show the world that we support our candidates, especially President Trump. So get some gear at theorlandopatriot.com and you'll get 30% off. Thank you for your support. It means the world to me. I'll see you there.